Hi, welcome to another episode of Wiring Wednesdays. My name's Ben, I'm the production manager for Syvecs, and today we're going to be talking about working on OEM harnesses or restoring wiring or retrofitting. OEM harnesses and restoring is a little bit of a it's a bit of a subject that generally I don't like restoring wiring at all. I started my career retrofitting, which for the uninitiated is another term for fitting aftermarket parts, ranging from lights, horns, that kind of stuff. It's not fun, like to say the least. You're tracing wires. You've got old electrical tape, your hands are dirty. Looms can get really, really grubby, especially when they're on the underside of the car and in the engine bay. So my thoughts on it are, don't do it. No, but in all seriousness. Restoring it, probably not. I mentioned in the previous video that I've done some throttle position sensor wiring for R32 to 34 Skyline GTRs. I don't fix that, I just take it out and I replace it with something that is going to work properly. For example, I wouldn't risk using something that's older. You probably often heard about people taking classics and putting new looms in there altogether because, frankly, trying to restore old wiring is just unbearable. It's going to cause you more headaches than it's worth. It's probably going to take longer than actually building something new. And I mean, if you want to learn how to do that, I'm sure we can go over that. Retrofitting is another subject of working on, I suppose, restoring looms and whatnot. One thing I will say is that if you find yourself in a position where you're splicing into OEM harnesses and you want to cut a corner, and I mean, I say that slightly, I just wouldn't do it. One other part of retrofitting as well is, and I've got an example because it did pain me buying these, is these guys. That is called a Scotchlock. I hate these things. These have been the center point of most of my headaches in my working career. They have been used in multiple workshops everywhere. I'm sure people know about these at working workshops. If you're using them, please stop. Let's face it, they're just a poor excuse of finding a solution to a problem that nobody wants to, spend half an hour learning about. To be honest, I don't really want to explain it. I just want to throw it in the bin. They're rubbish. They effectively break the insulation on both wires. You put both wires in there, you break the insulation, and then you clamp it down. It's going to do a number of things. It's going to vibrate loose. It's going to cause intermittent connection issues, intermittent power issues. It's going to degrade the wire, eventually loosening off, because all it does is, eventually it will vibrate and flatten the wire. And I've seen it loose, and I've been pulling on some of these, and it's just like sliding up and down the wire. They're not worth having. Please don't put those in engine bays. If I had to choose between twisting a wire and soldering it, I'll take the twisted wire, and that's very hard for me to say over those guys. Another thing is cheap electrical tape. It's not worth it. It really isn't. I mean, if you get yourself in a spot, and I mean, I have in the past, get yourself into a spot of needing to use this to insulate something to get home, I might add, then fine, I can understand. But if you're going to have to use tape, on a budget build or something like that, use Tessa tape. Tessa tape is brilliant. It's like a fabric loom tape. Wrap it up. The adhesive that's on Tessa tape doesn't tend to bleed like this stuff does when it gets old. It doesn't go horrible when it gets damp. Anybody that's had to remove electrical tape knows just how nasty it is when you're having to pull it all back and your hands are just covered in, rubbish. If you want to know more about anything to do with, retrofitting and how I'd go about that, I mean, I've got no problem doing a video on that if you'd like to see that. Yeah, I can go in the bin as well. But so that's the end of that video. If anybody's got any questions, please let us know in the comments below. Consider subscribing and hit the bell icon, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can, and we'll see you in the next one.